Hey Word Nerds! So the month of May has been super crazy busy for me, but in a really fantastic way. One of the big highlights of this month was getting invited to the Forest of Reading Festival in Toronto, put on by the OLA, which is the Ontario Library Association. The Strange and Deadly Portraits of Bryony Gray was nominated for the Red Maple Award, and though I didn't win it this year, I still had a really great time at the festival, and it was so cool to meet all of these really excited readers who were just so pumped about reading and literature and pretty much are my people. I also got to hang out with my fellow word nerd Kelly while I was in Toronto, so that was definitely one of the best parts of the trip. So a couple of the highlights of the weekend were the ceremony, which was the part of the show where we all stood up on stage. There was a bunch of other really amazing authors that had been nominated for the Red Maple Award. So we're all up on stage and ended up being a huge crowd, which initially I found a little intimidating. But like I said, everyone was there because they love the same thing. They love books, they love literature. Every time an author came on stage, there was screaming and cheering, and so it ended up being really cool.
Our sign holder, show some love, make some noise, people, come on!
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ava Pereira, and I'm very honored to be here today to present E. Latimer and her book, The Strange and Deadly Portraits of Bryony Gray. E. Latimer is a wonderful author who lives in Vancouver. She's a fantasy writer and a host of the Wattpad 4 chats on Twitter. She used to be a children's bookseller, and Bryony Gray is her first middle grade novel. I enjoy E. Latimer's book very much. I love the way it's written with such detail, and the way she tells the story is absolutely amazing. While I was reading the book, I was able to play the story in my mind, and I'm sure if you read the book, you feel the same way. I definitely know that The Strange and Deadly Portraits of Bryony Gray deserves to be a Red Maple nominee. So please, everyone, help me in welcoming the amazing E. Latimer.
Keep it going all the way to the microphone, keep it going, keep it going!
Thank you so much. That was so sweet. Hi everyone. I'm so happy to be here with you. You guys are amazing for sitting out here in the freezing cold with mosquitoes the size of canned hams. I have always wanted to be an author. I loved fantasy when I was your age, and my parents decided though that I was reading too much fantasy, and they forbade me for a while from reading any fantasy whatsoever. So I hid all of the Harry Potter books under my bed and read them under the sheets with a flashlight, Harry Potter style. And so of course they continued to try to get me to read other things, and so of course I promptly went and became a fantasy author full-time. So thank you so much, you guys, for coming out. It's great to see you here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, you inspired me. When I say Harry, you say Potter, Harry! Potter! Harry! Potter!
The other big highlight of the weekend had to be the book signing. One of my favorite parts was walking up to the book signing tables and thinking to myself, wow, there's a huge line there. And then a second later, realizing that's my table. There were people that were waiting in line to get their book signed by me, which was really bizarre and surreal, and I've never had that anywhere else, just because having been nominated for the Red Maple, these are the classrooms that are actually reading your books, and they're all in the same place, so it was this illusion of being incredibly popular, just for one weekend only, but it was very, very cool. Surreal is a word that I keep using when I talk about this, and that was really the vibe of the whole weekend. The whole thing was like some fantastic dream. I actually ended up with a sore wrist at the end of the day, and I was expecting that because I do suffer a little bit from carpal tunnel if I'm not watching myself, if I don't bring my wrist brace, and I didn't because I'm a dummy. And I was expecting for my right hand to get sore, but it was actually my left hand, and I had my fellow author Sherry Green had said that as well, because, and I don't think we realize this, but we kind of splay our hand out and when we're holding the book. And so that was my lesson in ergonomics, I guess, for the weekend, is don't hold your hand out at an awkward angle. And I also figured out the fact that it's actually much harder than I thought it was to sign my name and talk to people at the same time. Kind of like walking and chewing gum, I guess. I don't know how good at that I am either. Super brilliant, I tell you. Hopefully that's something I figure out going ahead with this career. Not the walking and chewing gum, obviously, but signing my name and also talking to you without actually writing what I'm saying in the book accidentally. That has definitely happened, though thankfully not this weekend. Last but not least of the most exciting parts of the weekend was getting to hang out with my fellow word nerd Kelly. We went back to the hotel that I was staying at that had a really nice lobby for writing in, and there happened to be a coffee shop there as well, so we were well stocked on tea. And I think the guy, we even chatted with him a little bit, and he gave us like a free scone. The barista was really nice. And also I fell in love with this thing called Pluck tea that I then spent like a whole lot of money on ordering when I got home, because I'm kind of addicted to the Earl Grey tea now. Anyways, that is a total tangent. Clearly I get way too excited about tea. Is it working? Hi! Kelly and I are working in the lobby of the hotel, and it is super duper rainy. That was probably crazy unsteady. Say hi! Hello!
Should we say when she'd be back, or just to kind of find
No, just that she was having dinner with her publisher and she'd be back later.
At least today I won't have to like walk in the rain. We've got the car, so Matt can just come get me whenever I'm done.
Thank God. Walk in the rain / hail.
That was a way longer walk yesterday than I thought, like getting to where he was.
But Kelly and I had a really awesome time writing together, and we even brainstormed through a really tough writer's block I'd been having, which was just fantastic. We did have a little bit of an interruption while we were doing our writing session.
To ensure your safety, all participants on this list.
Yeah, no. Hey, have you guys
Apparently the fire alarm had been going off, but it wasn't your typical fire alarm, so I was going like, is it a bomb? Is it like, what's happening? But it just ended up being that the workmen there that were working on one of the rooms, I guess, had set it off somehow. And we kind of just hung out in the lobby and we're like, okay, if they run for the door, we'll run for the door. We were right next to it. But I said to Kelly, you know, I'm not moving unless it looks like people are running for the exit, then I'll move. So it ended up being fine. Nothing was on fire. Kelly and I still got a good word count in and a good brainstorming session, and obviously visiting and chatting and taking lots of amazing photos where obviously we're so photogenic. I don't know about you, but I have like a highlight reel in my head of like really good moments in my life. Like the first time I got the book deal for Bryony Gray, the first time I got the book deal for Witches of Ash and Ruin, the first time I met the Word Nerds is up there for sure. The first time I went to the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in Orlando, and so now I think I'm gonna have to add Toronto and, you know, the crazy surreal book lines and the ceremony and hanging out with Kelly. All of that is now in my best moments reel. I think I'm gonna have to add that. Don't forget, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, the Word Nerds have our live chat on Sundays, and we would love to see you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.